Welcome to episode 37, I think, of Cinema Curse. It's what's that? It's our 1 year anniversary.
Oh my god!
I guess Edwin can take the wheel. It's been a while, and I think it's time for a return to Cannon Mountain. We'll talk about what movies we're talking about specifically in a minute. But I'm Connor Lloyd Crews, your Wicked Game Master, and joining me, as usual, is the Joey Chestnut of talking about movies, Mr. Edwin Gomez. Fucking taking a fat rip right now.
Yeah. Hello, America. It's another day in Cannonland. We have to go over the top and blood sport it and death wish it beyond Thunderdome.
Hell yeah. Also here, Daniel.
Hello. So sorry.
Damn you to hell, Daniel.
And Marina.
Hello.
And
Hi.
Brian.
Hi.
And
America.
also riffing a fat one, Scott.
Wow.
Hey, we're going to Cannon Mountain, man. We gotta do it right, buddy.
And lastly, Jason Steele.
Hello.
Ruining his family-friendly image by but thanks for joining us. We might have some other people pop in. I know Jason's going to have to leave, which is why we're going to talk about the movie we're going to talk about first. I want to say thank you to Marina Sakimoto here and her band Shunkin for the use of their song Curse off the EP She Nods for our opening. It's been 266 days since the strike ended and the AMPTP still sucks. How is everybody? How's everybody doing?
So we're golden, man. We're golden. We're just,
Doing good. Dream constantly.
Whoa.
Letterbox famous, man.
Oh, I was wondering
Look at
if
you.
I was wondering if you were gonna bring that up, Edwin. Oh,
I was gonna
Fuck
bring
yeah, man. I'm in deep
Right on.
Coppola now, man. I'm at the Cope, man. The Coppola.
I don't know if you want to be with Coppola right now. If you know, you've seen some of these.
Yeah,
So you might want to hold off on that one. Some of the other headlines going on right now with him.
I forgot.
But
oh no!
on set.
I'm sure the
few
movie is
weeks
going to be
ago.
great, though. He's known for consistently having made great movies for the last couple decades. So I'm sure it's going to be terrific.
That.
Banger after banger.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, Croc, for jumping in the chat. Yeah, tonight it is our 1 year anniversary. It's been a while since I let Edwin pick the movies. I thought it was time for a return. I named the Canon movie last year Into the Canonverse, thinking like, oh, we can do more of these, and so we are doing more of these. And it's Josh. Josh is joining us.
Josh is in the house.
He's connecting to audio. We'll let him introduce himself on his own terms.
Josh is like, don't wait for me, but he rolls in like WWE style entrance, like just down the road a little bit. It's like, Josh is here. That was planned. That's planned, Josh. I see what you're doing. I appreciate it. And I respect
Which
it.
Josh is this?
This is Oakley.
Oakley. On the username, it says the full name.
It says on his on the screen.
No, I don't know.
Hey, Josh.
That's me.
Whoa!
We're going to. We are going to.
Edwin's actively.
Smoking weed.
Yeah.
The first movie we're going to talk about tonight is a little movie. So I guess let's Edwin. I was like, okay, Edwin, tell me what movies you want to pick, and you really didn't want to pick them for a long time. I kept asking you what movies do you want to pick, and you would go, You would write that out with a bunch of M's. And then I'd be like, what the fuck does that mean? And then you gave me a list. I chose 2 from that list. You didn't like the 2 that I chose. But one of them was Over the Top, which I insisted on. And then you chose this movie that we're about to talk about, Tough Guys Don't Dance. I'll explain. This is Pierce's dad from Community, which is I just kept thinking about in terms of the way all the characters were talking. But Jason, who just watched this film, Jason, can you give us a summary of the Norman Mailer directed? Now, if people don't know, I'll introduce him real quick. Norman Mailer, not known as being a film director. He's more so known in like the realm of the like creative nonfiction types is probably what he's most famous for.
New journalism, yeah.
Yeah. You know, your Capotes, your Hunter S. Thompsons. He's kind of more in that world. And this movie, he did write novels, and this is an adaptation he wrote and directed of his own novel. And Jason, can you tell us what this movie is about?
This movie is about Norman Mailer's very favorite topic in the whole world, the crisis of masculinity.
I thought you were going to say cucking.
That is a central part of the crisis. There was a web of cucking going on in this movie. Like you could create like a little map where you have little points.
A web of cuckoldry. Yeah, no, this is
them all?
I do think this would be good for our like movie night. This would be a fun movie. It's a fun bad movie to watch. I mean, bad is like objective also. It's like a fucking weird movie. I don't know if it's totally successful at what it's going for, because I'm not exactly sure what it's going for, in terms of like the exact, like how funny or serious some of it's supposed to be at certain times.
Always a good sign.
And
yeah, Edwin said it was like Blue Velvet. Or it's trying to be like Blue Velvet.
Oh, it's much more cynical than Blue Velvet. I mean, it is definitely
Okay.
Blue Velvet like ultimately has a hope in like the balance between good and evil.
Lynch is an optimist, I think, at the end of the day.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
This on the other hand, this is just about how masculinity is a thing in which people are stuck within and poisons them.
Yeah, it's like a deep fried trash Southern Gothic neo noir. It's baroque. It's baroque. It's horny, and I know people talk about how movies should be more horny now, but I think there's probably a middle ground between what we have now and this movie. I think this movie is too horny. Okay. I think this movie is like I need to call the horny police. You know, where like a character is like standing someone up and like holding them up, and then in the middle of it talking about like a woman. Did she ever give you a rim job?
That sounds awesome.
I feel like here's my opinion. I feel like if this was 1% less horny, it would not be successful in its thesis.
It's possible. I mean, it was definitely fun. The fact that it was so horny is what makes it kind of like unique and stuff. But I don't know. Like I do want to revisit it because I don't really know what to think about it but I definitely liked it, but I don't know to what, like in what way I liked it exactly.
Yeah, the very first conversation that happens in the entire movie is a guy, the main character, talking with his father, And one of the first things he tells his father is that when he was in prison, he did not lose his straightness and become a homosexual by getting assaulted. And his father's like visibly relieved and was like, "I didn't want to ask you." Like this sets up the rest of the movie. Like I don't know how familiar you are with the writings of Norman Mailer.
I'm not as familiar. I know he's kind of a dickhead, but
yeah. Yeah, he's a guy who like when the jazz age began, like he became absolutely obsessed with jazz musicians because in his mind, like specifically black jazz musicians was like the greatest threat to his own masculinity that had ever arisen on the earth.
He has a very famous article that I'm not going to say the name of here, but people can Google him, and I don't know if that's exactly what that's about, but I know it's like one of his most famous writings.
Yeah, he ended up becoming friends with James Baldwin. And James Baldwin did not particularly like his writing.
I wouldn't think so.
And but he for a while Norman Mailer was like obsessed with the idea of James Baldwin because James was both queer and black. And both of these things were like the ultimate like threats to Norman Mailer's own masculinity in his mind, in his like demented. That's sort of.
That's kind of if we're going to talk about Death Wish 2 and 3 briefly in a minute, and in some ways, if Death Wish, it's notable that Norman Mailer, when he made this movie, had been divorced 5 times. What Death Wish is,
I'm so mad I did not see this movie.
I think we got to watch it for movie night at some point. It would be really.
The themes you've discussed in this is just it's a spectrum of things.
If Death Wish is like a right winger's like worst nightmare / wettest dream about like sort of justification in terms of their feelings about like inner city violence or whatever, or like Law and Order stuff, this is like the divorced misogynist's same justification towards like their feelings about women, I would say.
Oh, fun! That sounds jeez.
The misogyny in this movie, which is like present throughout the entire thing, takes on a different form than you would expect, though, because Norman Mailer is primarily concerned with like his masculinity.
It's weirdly it's misogynist without being misogynist to like specific women in a weird way. It is at certain
only to
point,
particular women.
No, like in the inverse. It's like misogynist to the idea of how a man could have a relationship with a woman.
Yeah,
in a way.
Yeah, because the women in the movie like all represent a threat to the main character's masculinity, but not through the typical like idea of like femininity as a threat to masculinity, but instead Norman Mailer's he views women as having their own form of masculinity that can dominate and take away his masculinity. And so like there's multiple times in the movie where like something is specifically set up as masculine by his father, as like something that his father can do that the son cannot, because the son is not masculine enough. And then women end up doing those things right after that statement is made. Like there's multiple killings in the movie that happen where like a man can't do the act, and then a woman is easily able to do that, therefore stripping the man's masculinity away from him in the eyes of Norman Mailer.
Including, I'm going to spoil this for everybody, just so you guys know. I'm about to reveal like major things that happen because I think they're funny. But one of my favorite moments, I'm not putting the spoilers things up for this movie. People can just
skip. That's it. It should.
What
if you pissed off the one person this was they're waiting for? They woke up this morning, shitty day, and they're like, I got to get home and see this shit. And then you hit a YouTube. They're getting mugged on the red line right now, and the YouTube popped up, and it's this now. You're just talking about.
There's a scene where I guess you would call Wings Hauser star of Champagne and Bullets / Get Even / Road to Revenge. I guess you would call him the antagonist, in a way. And he, at the end of the movie, he has like a stroke or something, and he's like lying in bed, and he's like talking to his wife, going like, I made you come 16 times in one night. And then the wife, played by Isabella Rossellini, is like, not one of them was good. And then he calls her small potatoes, and it cuts to outside of the room where Ryan O'Neal, the main guy, and his father is, and you hear a gunshot, and the father just goes, never call an Italian small potatoes.
That's awesome. I'm so mad I didn't see that.
And what's crazy is you and Jason describing this movie, it's like two different movies.
Yeah.
like you know, and I know you're going into different versions of it, but like even thematically, Jason described this thing that I was on every word going like, man, this sounds like a really good, interesting take. And then Connor takes it, and you're just like, wait, what the fuck are we doing now? It's wild. I do need to see this.
I'll also
You can
say
cut this out if you don't want this revealed, Connor.
Yeah.
But I always sometimes for movies I haven't seen, if you review them on Letterboxd, I like to try to figure out what's included based on your tagging.
Yeah.
And the tags for this movie really threw me for a loop. So it's exciting to kind of see it come together and make sense.
Oh yeah. Okay. So I have a bunch of weird tags on Letterboxd. Do you want to read them, and I can explain what they mean and why they apply to this movie? I thought you would have had this up quicker, but
Oh, I do. I'm so sorry.
no.
It's you've got I've been
Somebody's
doomed.
fired.
What was that?
You've got I've been doomed.
That's just if the movie blows my mind and I don't know what to think about it.
You got It Comes to Life, spelled
Horny.
suggestively.
Horny.
You've got
Horny in a way that's like, oh, weird.
You've got About a Beach That Makes You Old.
I don't know. There's like some beach scenes and it's weird. That one's like the least connective. I don't know how to explain that one.
I think you've been doing that since we saw Old.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's connected to Old.
I've been doing that.
No, I don't think you were doing it before that.
Some of them,
Yeah.
some of them I've tagged. Like I tagged Eternals with that, and that one actually kind of works because they go to that beach and they're there for like 1,000 years or something.
And don't they have sex on a beach in that movie?
Yeah, I think so.
But
But
and then you got I've Been Wonked.
that's like I've been doomed but horny.
And then, then there's Who Will? Question mark.
That's because it's confusing and I don't know what's going on.
And finally, What Happened to the Dog?
So that's important. They introduce a dog in one scene just to kill it. And it's such a movie made from a book movie, you know, and the misogyny Jason was explaining it. I would also say I'd say it's actually really the most prevalent in the sense that the women aren't really treated as actual characters at any point, and it's the men and sort of their machinations and like it doesn't really matter that the woman is cheating on him. It matters that this man is cucking him with the woman, you know.
Okay.
I see.
Like, and yeah, Edwin, what do you think about this movie?
It's something. Something. It's a pretty weird picture written from a guy that doesn't know what the hell he was doing. Produced by Coppola. Yeah. It's produced by Coppola for some reason, and
well, that actually might make sense.
yeah.
Isn't the score by Badalamenti?
That's why I say it's like Blue Velvet. There's two connection to Blue Velvet, Angelo and Isabella. And the whole movie just feels like a bad David Lynch movie.
It feels, I can see how it feels. It's sort of pulling from some of the same sort of like neo-noir in like a more mundane setting sort of thing kind of vibe, I think. But it's definitely pitched at a different level. Everyone in this movie acts like an insane person. Penn Jillette plays a preacher with a big dick. One of the other bad guys, the guy who had the rim job line, he has a couple other lines that I really liked. The two being when they try to get him involved with a like some sort of physical altercation, he's like, I am so wrong for this kind of imbroglio. And the other one is at one point when they're showing him like a dead body that they're going to use to like make money off of because it's like a blackmail. He's like, I'm going to be like a Renaissance prince. This movie also has a famous scene that everyone here, there's a famous bit in this that when I describe the bit, you're gonna be like, oh, this is that movie. At one point, Ryan O'Neal gets like a letter from somebody and he goes to like a cliffside to read it. And his reaction to it is to go, oh God, oh man, oh God, oh man, oh God, oh man. If you guys have seen clip from that.
That sounds familiar.
It's like one of those.
When I saw this movie, I was like, "Oh, this is that movie."
Yeah, no, that happened to me too. Like, did it happen like right when the scene started? You were like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, I was like, "Wait a minute."
Yeah.
One thing I'll say about this movie is like throughout the entire film, there's like tremendous amounts of like homophobia, but it's in a specific way where like all of the characters are like wildly homophobic, except. They're also like extremely horny for masculinity.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't come across as like homoerotic so much as it does like deeply confused.
Like the scene where Wings Hauser tells him that, I forget what, like the story of like a murder or whatever to Ryan O'Neal, and Ryan O'Neal's like, why'd you tell me this story? And Wings Hauser's like, I'm a law enforcement officer and it turns me on.
Yeah, he talks about how horny it makes him, and then specifically with anticipation in his eyes, he asks if the story made the other guy horny too.
Yeah, and he's like, you didn't tell it well enough, is his response. Yeah, O'Neal reminds me of like Thomas Hayden Church and Owen McGregor. That's just a weird thing I wrote down. I don't know why. The ending too, when they're throwing bodies overboard and they're joking around like, I'm taking to this more than I thought I would. I think this is the cure for cancer.
Yeah, and they've got the music going. Da,
yeah, it's like.
Na, 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 na.
Okay, I gotta admit, I've already forgotten. Like, what is this movie about? Like,
super real. Honestly, I was thinking the same goddamn thing. Every time somebody starts a new sentence, it's like a new movie.
It's a murder mystery.
All like the thematic details of it. Like, what is the story of this movie?
It's a murder mystery, I guess.
A guy finds a head in a hole.
And it's about a web of cuckoldry and a head found in a hole, not like a hole like the song, but in the hole, and just like a cocaine deal and like a bunch of characters and grease, slipping, people being horny. Yeah.
So it's about everything.
Yeah, it's everything.
It's kind of it's like an erotic thriller without being actually sexy at any point.
Or thrilling.
It's or thrilling, yeah.
It's like the eroticism and the thrills.
I'm gonna spoil it even more, but I really feel like all the themes in the movie come together at the end in the final shot. Or like the main character has successfully avoided all of the possible homosexual stuff that could have happened to him throughout the movie. His enemies are vanquished. He has secured the masculinity that he has been struggling for throughout the entire thing. He's back with the woman that he loves and they have a new beautiful white house. And everything is exactly where his like crisis of masculinity has been leading him to victory, and he's in the house with his wife, shutting the door, and the music just starts getting ominous.
Yeah, spooky.
The music just starts getting spooky as he's looking around, because truthfully, the crisis of masculinity is not one that can be overcome. It is deep within him.
Yeah,
he's carried it with him. It's with him still. No victory could possibly bring him.
It's like
out
the
of this
ending
crisis.
of Evil Dead.
Yeah, it is. It's a story about a haunting, and the haunting is the man's masculinity
or fear of lack of.
Yeah.
Even these spoilers are not clarifying it. Like it's somehow
Well, it's what's weird too is that structurally, when I said the movie is like such a book movie, and Jason can attest to this, structurally, I'm sure I could like nail this down to a structure if I had to, but like it's a weirdly structured movie. Like it starts in flashback. There's like flashbacks within nested flashbacks, and the whole movie's like kind of a bunch of nested flashbacks. But then when it catches up is like 65% of the way through the movie, which is such a weird point in the movie. You know what I mean? Like it's not like right before the climax, which that would make sense. You know what I mean? It's not like after the first act, which would also make sense. It's not even like the midpoint. It's like somewhere late in act 2 for some reason. And
Here we are.
yeah,
and a character who's been telling this, the main character who's been telling this story to his father, literally is just like, and that's it, we're all caught up.
yeah,
just continues
suddenly,
on at
and you're
point.
like, oh, there's 40 minutes of this 2-hour movie left. That's weird. I guess there's a lot, and then there's an extended flashback sequence where like the main character isn't in it for like 15 minutes. I feel like towards the end where they explain everything, and kind of.
Honestly, it sounds like Nolan would be confused with this and just be like, "This is what we're doing."
Nolan wishes he could make something this confusing.
Well, yeah, I mean that. But if that guy was truly, didn't want to be spoiled, there's no way you guys did any. I have no idea what the fuck movie this even is.
It's
just sound bananas, and I'm in.
It is
obviously.
It is bananas. It's not Bananas, which is a different movie, but it is bananas in its own way. Edwin, Jason, do you guys have anything left to say about Norman Mailer's Tough Guys Don't Dance?
I non-ironically think it's a masterpiece.
It's weird.
All right.
It's very weird. It's got it's in many ways there's a lot of stuff in it that could be difficult to watch if you're not if you're not expecting it. But it's a one of a kind film. It's
unique. Edwin.
Well, there are no tough guys dancing, and the only thing that made this movie interesting was the trailer, and that's about it.
Yeah.
Chin-chin.
I avoided this movie for a while because I don't actually like Norman Mailer as a writer. I don't like his writing at all. But this movie, all of the Norman Mailer stuff, just it's like it all came together in a way that works for the first time. Like the book it's based on is terrible.
Yeah, it's further proof that movies are better than books. So just
the lesson.
The art form has been decided.
Exactly.
Well, Jason, I know you got to go. I know you could stick around for a couple more minutes, but I feel like this would maybe be an elegant place if you wanted to head on out because you got your stream.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm very glad to watch this movie. I started watching it last night. I was expecting to watch like a half hour of it before going to bed, and I just got caught up in the web of cuckoldry.
I believe, Connor, didn't you have a similar situation?
Yeah, no, 100%. I was like, oh, I'll watch like maybe half of it tonight and the other half tomorrow, and I was just like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I was like, I have to, like.
That's good.
A great endorsement, right there.
Absolutely.
Like,
I think of all the words.
Yeah.
That's the good one.
I will now be watching. This has
laundry.
entered the top of my watch list.
Yeah, on my letterbox
Same.
review was just 3 question marks. Because so yeah. Well, thanks for stopping by, Jason. We'll probably have you on again soon for Twin Peaks some more.
Yeah.
And enjoy. What are you streaming tonight? Is it Animal Crossing night or is that a different night?
No, it's Donkey Kong Country 3.
Oh yeah.
Oh, heck yeah.
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah.
Enjoy that.
I'm gonna go to that. See you guys later.
All right, he doesn't.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah, thank you. He doesn't need more of an audience. I need the audience. See you later, Jason. Thank you.
See ya.
Later, Jason.
And let me change my background to this shot that I thought was funny of the character, the cop, from Death. So I watched. Who here has seen Death Wish 2 or 3?
I have not.
Edwin's seen both of them. I just watched them. Well, yeah, I know Edwin's seen them. If people don't know, I'm not going to explain exactly what happens in Death Wish, but basically his. Do you want to explain what happens in Death Wish 2, Edwin?
Paul Kersey is in L.A. doing the same thing he did in New York, but something followed him. Crime and scum the streets. Basically, his house is robbed, his daughter's kidnapped, and bad things happen.
Yeah,
And
it's like the
he's
same
gotta grow
thing
up
happened to the
Death Wish.
same guy again. It's like Die Hard 2.
Yeah, exactly. But this time he's in L.A.
Or is it in Die Hard? The first
Like
one was
Die
in
Hard
LA.
2?
That's right.
Yeah, no, they're in DC. Yeah.
I
You
will
stood outside of that building many times.
I will say, I thought while I enjoyed this movie to a certain degree, I have to say it's maybe the rapiest movie I've ever seen in my life. There is a point early on. There is a an epic rape scene towards the beginning. Epic, not in the like gamer like poggers sense, but in like Lawrence of Arabia, like lengthwise and just elaborateness.
like when people say awesome,
Yeah,
you know, it's
yeah,
like,
exactly.
you know,
I literally
Yeah.
yelled like, Jesus Christ, we get it. It's
Oh god.
the daughter's death is kind of funny though, to be honest, because she like runs out a window and just falls on a big spike. But
I mean,
As one
that's
does.
fun.
but
Yeah.
I will say, compared to, because I kind of want to talk about 2 and 3 at the same time. 3, he goes back to New York, and in 3's almost like the first 2 are revenge movies. The third one becomes like a Western in a lot of ways. Like, it's not even really a revenge movie. It's just he comes into town and he's just shooting thugs. And there is some, it's still a Death Wish movie. There's some sexual violence, but it's like less than a minute long, and it's all very much more implied, as opposed to like in Death Wish 2, where like a character's naked and getting moved around a bed and you're seeing the characters like approach them in different ways, you know. Very, I really like Death Wish 2 has its moments, but I can't recommend it because of that opening. Yeah, but what do you think, Edwin?
I'm glad to know that now.
What?
Yeah, it's, you know, and these movies are also kind of, you know, right wing. The obviously I kind of explained that earlier. Anti-psychiatry, nothing really bad happens to him for doing all this stuff. Movie thugs, including Larry Fishburne in the second one. There's some other like random bits in the second one. I will recommend the third one though, because the third one is way more fun. It's I mean, it's still right wing, like super right wing coded, but it's much more just absurd. Can you explain, like, Edwin, can you kind of explain, like, so the difference between the climax of Death Wish 2 involves Charles Bronson killing one guy in a room. The climax of Death Wish 3 involves Charles Bronson running around the streets of New York with a machine gun, shooting down criminals as they like scatter and run over rooftops and like leap out of trees. It's like becomes post-apocalyptic.
That's escalation right
It's
there.
and they keep calling the characters creeps. They're like, oh, the creeps are out. They should call this movie Night of the Creeps. But yeah, it was shot in Britain actually, and it's very British when you like look at it, knowing that they have a fire truck at one point, and it's like clearly a British fire truck. I think my favorite part of this movie is that a really large part of the movie kind of hinges on the fact that Charles Bronson mail orders a cool gun, and he like invites all of his neighbors over, and he's like, hey, look at this cool gun I bought, and it's like the hand cannon from the Resident Evil games. And yeah, so much of the movie is just like, and then another character later on is like, you think your gun is cool, check out the cool gun I have, and that's when he finds the big machine gun he uses. But it's fun. Death Wish 3 I would recommend. It's if you can, get over
I didn't like Death Wish 1. Do they get better kind of in
it
seems like they kind of elevate the goofiness a little bit?
Yes, 3 definitely. Edwin, would you agree with that?
Okay.
And 4.
I would say 3.
There's a 4th.
There's a 5th one, bro. I would almost compare Death Wish 3 compared to Death Wish 1, sort of like Rocky 3 versus Rocky 1 in a way, in terms of like the seriousness of it, where like Rocky 3 is like pretty silly, like it's a very silly movie, and it's kind of the similar way where it takes the concepts of Death Wish, but it blows them up and makes it into like a full like the third act is just fucking nuts. It is literally like criminals like crawling out of trees and like it's like Escape from New York, and it's kind of a hoot. What do you think, Edwin?
Yeah, Death Wish 3 is the shit. Comes back to blow more shit up and save the day.
It's definitely way more actionier than the first two, wouldn't you say?
Yes. Oh yeah. 3 goes all out. 4 goes back to it gets actually by the end of it. He's basically doing, I don't know how to explain it, but 3 is like more action packed to the bone.
And it's like so ridiculous because the gang has like, they have like these marks on their forehead, and they're just like roaming around the streets during the day, like harassing people, and he leaves a car out in a really funny scene, and Charles Bronson, the thugs are like messing with the car, clearly stealing it, and Charles Bronson comes out and kind of feigns as if he's trying to help them, like, what's wrong with the car? And they're like, get out of here, old man. Like, and he's like, and he's like, what does it matter to you? And he goes, well, it's my car. And then they kind of laugh, and they're like, well, now you're going to die. And they pull out a knife, and then he just pulls out a gun, bang, bang. And then he just turns around and walks back inside.
You got to finish the line, Connor.
You got to finish the what?
Deliver it.
Yeah. After they go inside, he says something cool.
I forget. What did he say?
He said, I sent them a message.
Well, yeah. Well, he says that after when he goes back inside, and then Martin Balsam talks to him and is like, hey.
Yeah.
And there's some Scooby-Doo. He does some like Home Alone traps where he like puts like a board where if somebody tries to come in, because basically he's in this building where there's all these like old people who clearly like lived there for decades, while like the neighborhood has gone bad around them. And he like sets up a trap of like a board in their window, so whenever like one of the thugs jumps in, it like smacks their face, and it triggers off screen, and they walk in, and there's like something in it, and he looks, and he's like, oh, it's teeth. It's like pulled the teeth out of the thug.
How does that? What?
I don't know.
The guy's mouth is like, ah.
Yeah,
how would you? I don't. I'm in. Whatever. I'm in.
It's fun. Yeah. But yeah, let's talk about who here has seen. I think we all seen Over the Top. Not Josh. No. You're just chilling. Hell yeah.
I can guarantee you I've seen it more than any of you.
Hell yeah.
For sure.
It was just a very early period of my life.
I wanted to.
So I can see that for you.
My brother and I. This was literally like one of our favorites. We used to literally do the arm wrestle thing until we usually would go too much and hurt each other essentially, and then get in a fight as brothers do. This was definitely one of those.
I had to get a photo of Stallone's really, and I mean this respectfully, but slutty shirt that he's wearing.
Okay,
in the third
I was
act.
trying to describe how
It's incredible.
How would you describe that? Because at first I thought it was a crop top, but he tucks it in.
It's weird.
What is his little?
It's a slutty. It's slutty. I don't know. He looks like he's wearing it looks like shape wise it looked like a toilet seat protector that he's kind of put over himself.
A little bit. It looks like what you wear to like do yard work in because it's kind of messed up. But he pulls it off. When he put it on, I was like, "Whoa, okay."
Like I would look like a homeless person for sure. You know, like it would be like, "Sir, please leave the club." I'm sure. You know, yeah.
So like, it becomes slightly nicer before he has his final battle because he like tucks it into his pants.
Mm-hmm.
Like it fits better later. Doesn't really make sense, but I'm not here to argue with the logic.
If Tough Guys Don't Dance is completely inexplicable, Over the Top is exactly what you think it is. Does anybody want to explain the plot, as it were, of Over the Top?
Over the Top is a movie that features my two favorite genres: child custody battles and arm wrestling. And finally, for the price of one ticket, we did them both in this movie. So
You also get big rig driving. I think that's an important thing to point out.
Yeah,
Important.
So Sylvester Stallone is a truck driver who was an absentee father to his son, who is just, I guess summer is out, the school's out now he's in military school, and Stallone picks him up and is going to take him like home just to see his mom who's sick.
Mm-hmm.
And Stallone wants to take care of the kid, but his grandfather, who is rich and doesn't want anything to do with Stallone,
Played by Robert Loggia in classic
Yes.
Loggia fashion.
Yes. There's a custody battle between the two of them. And then for the last 40 minutes, there's just arm wrestling.
Yeah, it's
and so, yeah.
it's like the first half is like a road trip with him and the son, where they're trying to get where they're like bonding, and we're sort of finding out about all the characters. And then the second half becomes this custody battle, with specifically the last act taking place at this this Las Vegas arm wrestling championship.
Honestly, I was shocked how like the last 40 minutes, like, oh, we're just really into this.
Yeah,
arm wrestling.
that's true. There actually is quite a bit.
Did he have some like pull down bar in the truck that he would like?
Yeah, he has like a thing he exercises in the truck with.
Yes.
It's awesome.
It must be like an opening or something. I remember that so vividly.
Is that legal?
What?
Oh,
Can you do that? Can you work out while you're driving a motor vehicle?
I'm sure you could.
One
I mean,
arm.
it would just be the one arm. It'd be like that.
Yeah.
But I guess this is the arm he's arm wrestling with.
Right.
So Stallone is such a cutie. I don't know what people thought about this movie as a whole, but I was kind of charmed by it, honestly. Like I watched
I
it.
expected a bad time that I would giggle at, and then because the only thing I saw before I watched it was like it was nominated for a Razzie for his performance especially, and then I watched it and I was like, maybe I'm just being like a contrarian, but I actually thought his performance was kind of lovely. It's like very understated, and like father son thing that's kind of cute, and I was like, he's kind of, compared to what I'm used to from him, feels very much like a Rocky 1 vibe.
I was gonna say he was much more in Rocky mode.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he has like a depth of sweetness that I think a lot of the other like 80s action people maybe don't have as much, and I like that this was like tapping into that actually.
And the kid's
you're
not
disrespecting
annoying?
Steven Seagal, Connor.
Sorry. Were you saying
I
about
love
the kid?
Steven Seagal stuff because if you're a director on that, you have to make a great movie to compensate.
Oh yeah.
So like you have to like Under Siege is so good because the movie around Steven Seagal is incredible, and then he's there delivering what he needs to, but he's fighting back at your good movie, and I love that battle between like
The struggle.
creative and
That tension.
What were you saying about the kid, Daniel?
I think he's bordering a line between being because like sometimes kids in not sometimes most of the time kids in movies are insufferable, and he's walking a real line where sometimes I'm like, oh, he's doing all right, and other times I'm like, his direction was just, you're gonna just scream in this crowd, scream, and people are gonna try and grab you, and you're just gonna be screaming with your very high-pitched voice.
He teeters on insufferable for me, and I'm usually very like open towards like kid acting and stuff. It doesn't typically bother me, but I mean, Elliot and E.T. is like top tier for me, so it's hard for anyone to pass that. But this kid was
I'm with you. It's why I've never watched E.T. since I was a kid. Just something about that performance. I was like, fuck this kid.
But I mean, but now I love it because I think he is like the best.
Yeah, Brian,
but
I don't know how you heard that and were like, Marina clearly hates the performance.
I don't know. I just in a good way.
Yeah, I don't know. I just in my brain is like, I want to argue about this movie for some reason. I don't know why.
Yeah,
I don't think about it ever. But
Marina, you
this is the moment.
said I meant top tier in a good way. Yeah, that's what top tier generally tends to mean.
Yes.
I'm just trying to argue about Elliot. Fucker, you know.
But like, hey, I love Mac and Me, and
I like this kid. I thought this kid was all right, honestly. Like
I would rather watch Mac and Me, but that's just me.
I think the biggest problem with the kid was that he wasn't much of a like he didn't have much of a character to play.
I think in a weird way,
brat,
the fact that he's supposed to be a military nerd is like the perfect thing to cast a kid actor as, because every fault that is like annoying about a kid actor, you can be like, oh, they're a military nerd. Like I feel like you can like brush that off, like it's like a 1-to-1 almost. And so like anytime I found him annoying, I actually like weirdly it like made sense as his character.
I had to remind myself that, like, you know, this is supposed to be a spoiled brat who doesn't know his way through life, and his dad's trying to teach him that.
Spoiled military nerd.
Right. And his dad, it's like, what does his dad even do? Like, he has like the most intense security that is like very mob-like, and
his grandpa Logia.
His grandpa, I don't understand his role in society. It seems very high up there. Like he has the presidential suite. I don't know why.
That is my biggest problem with this movie, is that like it was really painted in broad strokes with like. It almost seemed like a child's idea, like if a child was explaining this movie, and like, because it didn't have any of the characterizations, because there were just a lot of questions like, what is, wait, what did they do? What is happening here? And
I kind of agree. There's definitely a lot of this movie that you can feel it being only 90 minutes in certain ways, where I watched this with Celeste, and she pointed out that like Stallone's status in this world is kind of fuzzy. Like at the end of the movie, they keep calling him a newcomer, but at the beginning, the guy who's the champion knows who he is and wants to challenge him. And I think in a better version of this, even though again I still kind of like this, probably Stallone should have fought the guy at the beginning and lost, because
that would make sense.
You know, to have like a comeback story, kind of.
Well, it's like how movies. It's like a movie thing. It's a thing that movies do. You know, where you're
Well. That's what I mean by like, if it wasn't for that like one scene, and I guess where he arm wrestles the kid, it almost feels like the arm wrestling, sort of the competitiveness of it, comes out of nowhere. Like, because like I actually remember like, this is getting a little like when he drives through there and like when they meet him in jail, and the kid decides like, oh, I'm gonna go with my grandpa. You have to go your own separate way. Like I paused it. And I was like, there's still 40 fucking minutes left in this movie? Like, structurally, that seemed like that should have been like the last 15. But I was like, what's going to happen? And what happens is a whole lot of arm wrestling. Like that's why, like, I thought the road trip, I actually thought that was going to be the movie.
Me too.
With them, but like the road trip ended so quickly. And by the time, like, and it ended poorly, like not to get to spoilers, but like it ended on a bad note for the two of them. So I was just like surprised that like the kid still wanted anything to do with him for the rest of the movie. Like it just, I don't think,
because his dad does something crazy where I feel like, can you redeem yourself from, you know, going full hog wild into like a gate into a
Yeah,
mansion,
when he
destroying
drives
property.
that's also a little unmotivated when he drives his truck through Robert
Very
Loggia's gate.
intense.
And
Yeah.
it would have been better. What should have happened to motivate that moment? Now, here's my script note. I'm going to go back in time and give them. Is the son while they're out there being like, no, nobody here wants to see you. If the son had come out on the patio and been like, Dad, hey, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
That could have motivated that a little more.
Yeah.
Especially if then like a guard was like, come here, and the kid seemed distressed.
Right. And he's like, hey, I need to get my kid out there. But no, he's just like without any idea of where this kid is. Who knows? Like, yeah, that'd be scary if I saw my dad doing all that.
They also never really explained like why he was gone, like why the grandpa didn't want him around. Like there was like
his big rig driving.
He's
right, but
he deals drugs.
No, yeah. Because like when he talks to the mom, she seems very like caring and like, please do this stuff. I'm like, was there like a dispute between you?
It's because he's blue collar and Robert Loggia is white collar. This movie is like it's like if Bruce Springsteen and Hulk Hogan like transfused and their brain became a movie.
No, you're right. Like, absolutely, that is the reason. But that's what I mean by that. Like, that's such a simple shot.
I feel like they had a budget and they reached the end of the budget doing the freaking giant finale. And then they were like, oh, we have to shoot the story parts. Everyone had already wrapped.
I was actually really for the first half of the movie, Robert Loggia is only on set, so the second he showed up in like a location, I was really shocked actually.
Yeah.
Like when he was at the cemetery, I was like, oh, they did get him out of the studio. Yeah, back then when a kid could just get on an airplane, could just like show up to the airport and fucking book an airplane. I will say
that actually that threw me out of it. I couldn't, like, I know things have changed, but I vaguely remember airports as a kid, but I couldn't comprehend how he was succeeding. Or I was like, they straight up how old was he supposed to be, like 12?
12, yeah.
Purchased a ticket with a credit card, I would assume, because he's from a rich family, and then gets on a plane on it by his lonesome, and then like sneaks into a casino led event. There's a lot of like real questionable. But, you know, I guess that's to ask.
It was the 80s, man.
Yeah.
They didn't care. It's fine.
Some of they do these interviews at the end that are pretty great, where some of the arm wrestlers are talking like wrestlers, where they're like, they're my mortal enemy, I hate them. or the one guy's like, I want to cripple him so he never dares compete against me again.
Yeah.
And then like Stallone's was always like, oh, you know,
I'm just here for the truck. Which, by the way,
it's in front of his truck too. I love that.
Celeste called Robert Loggia like offering him the truck like a couple minutes before it happened. She was like, I bet Robert Loggia is going to offer him a truck and be like, hey, why don't you leave this competition and stop impressing my grandson.
Was something wrong with his truck? I don't remember.
Remember he sold the truck to bet on himself, his old truck.
Oh, yes.
And so he needed the new truck from the competition, but Robert Loggia offered him his own.
But like he
truck.
offered him less money than he had just bet on himself.
Something like that.
I noticed that. I also was confused because they don't make the rules of arm wrestling clear, and so there's like a fake out where he loses, but actually you get 2 chances. But they don't say that till like 20 minutes through the arm wrestling sequences. So they're like, oh no, and then all of a sudden they're like, we all know contestants get 2 chances.
No, I was gonna say they mentioned it a bunch.
No, Daniel, you've never been more wrong in your entire fucking life. They say double elimination like 50 times before that moment.
Maybe I'm just not familiar with. I guess, is it like a loser's bracket then? They just made like this 80-yard segment after he lost, reminding you then, but they were like, just a reminder, you can lose twice and still be okay.
No, I agree. I agree with Scott. I thought it was funny that they say it again after he loses.
Okay, I guess
because
it's
I was
for
like,
me then.
Yeah.
Maybe double elimination didn't ring me in. You start with that, then you know he loses. But I thought they were like, oh my god, he loses.
The first time they give the rules, the referee goes like, remember, this is double elimination. That means if you lose once, you get to keep playing.
I must have just blacked
And,
out.
like,
I blacked out.
That ending is fun. I like when he switches his hat around to get in the zone.
I wonder if
Classic.
Pokemon stole that from him.
There was a couple of things in
It's
this.
very much like an anime move.
There's like a bit where the kid steals the car and then he goes to the airport and he's like, whatever, I don't care. And that's kind of like in Spider-Man 2, Peter Parker does that.
Yeah.
So like he injures his arm, and I don't really understand the injury, but then he's okay. And he also in the final round lets go at one point, and the other guy gets mad and punches him, or maybe that's before, but you can let go. Then they have to like tie their hands together. But I feel like letting go feels like a real cheap tactic to like get some more time to.
Yeah.
That also confused me.
I think they both let go or something. I don't know. It's not a very. I will say I do think the last scene does a good job of taking a pretty uncinematic sport and making it at least kind of fun to watch. You know, even
genuinely
Logia
kinda
sheds
sick.
a tear.
There's just all these close-ups of people, and Stallone's like twisted mouth.
The bad guy.
I didn't like. You're right. They really did try to make it cinematic, but I especially like the end when like he does something with his hands where he just like moves his fingers.
He goes
a
over the
little
top.
bit.
That's going over
is
the
that-
top.
Is that what that is? 'Cause,
Yeah.
like,
Yes.
I don't know. It's like, I know he's like just like moving his pinky, and I know enough about movies that like he did it in slow motion. Like, oh, that's the trick, and that's
And it's
the
that
thing.
great slow motion where they clearly couldn't shoot at high speed, so they just make it like
Yes.
really choppy
Oh.
slow.
I hate that. It was
I also
painfully
thought
slow.
it was funny when like with his costume changes, because like that's actually the third outfit he wears during the competition. Like
He gets sweaty.
he starts off in like just his like regular Joe Schmo shirt, but then once he's like ready to go, then he's in like white beaters, Stallone, like white beater, all greasy. It's like, oh, now he's in it, and then that's his like final boss costume.
This
Beautiful.
I think I'm thinking of the arm wrestling scene from The Return sometimes during this. I think Logia and the kid get to hang out eventually. I think eventually Stallone is like, because I did like I
don't think he's keeping him away from him. I think like I think he's just like wants to be in his life.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I liked it. It wasn't like great, but for a 90-minute B movie, it's a fun little movie. You know.
Yeah.
I did not care for it, but also I think it's like too good-hearted and charming to like hate on, be like mad about.
Also, I watched it on Tubi, which has commercial breaks, and it feels kind of great for this because it feels like I'm watching it on my TV as a kid.
Yes, yeah.
Good-hearted.
Like commercial hits, and I run to the kitchen to get like more soda.
Good-hearted is a really good note because compared to the other movies we talked about on here, which are, misogynist propaganda and right-wing propaganda, this movie feels, it just feels like nice. It's kind of like a nice, like it gets a little like right-wing in an old school way, but in a way that's like very, very casual and not like toxic. Like the way that just like blockbusters in general are kind of right-wing, and not in the specifically like crazy right-wing way that like the Death Wish movies are.
Right.
And
not violent.
Yeah.
In that
and
sense.
it also like absolute like we started this, Brian, you mentioned that you watch this all the time with like your brother growing up, and like this is a perfect movie for 9-year-old. Like
I mean this was like peak 8. I mean I remember we would record these things off of with a VHS any chance we had, so it was like maybe it was a commercial one, maybe it was during an HBO free preview for 2 weeks.
I remember those.
That shit was my Olympics. Like I would be like, okay, I got to record like 8,000 things in these 2 weeks. I'd look at that TV guide and be like, I'm getting up for this shit.
I'd let a kid
rewatch.
I'd let a kid watch this. It's
it's sick to get like your child's friend.
I was actually thinking it's a family movie in a way they don't make family movies much anymore. Like they're often just animated like the Minions and shit. But this felt like Amblin League. Not as good as an Amber movie, but
outside of like
Yeah.
when they kidnap the kid from like the restaurant, it feels
So
pretty
intense.
like in the rules of kid movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really.
But even that was like, just like it seemed like the obligatory Stallone action scene. Like
Yeah.
it seemed
Yes.
so like silly.
Yeah, I was thinking that they really don't make films like this anymore. It's so late
They don't make
80s,
them like
early
they used
90s.
to.
They don't. They don't. This
They
like parent connecting with the child and like estranged, I don't know, like custody, like you were saying. It's very like family drama. They don't infuse that with the family movie. And I don't even know if family movies really exist the way they did before.
I kind
but
of like
I don't know.
they don't like. It's funny. It's funny to poke at, but it's sort of like the sentiment of the scenes. It has to do the work because we don't really learn any of the whys.
Yeah,
Like there's a
we
little
don't.
bit of character
Yeah.
info, but really it's
Yeah.
what he's doing to win it back that matters.
Yeah.
And I like
Yeah.
slightly admire that, even if my brain wants like concrete, like why does his family not allow him to see his why does his wife's family not allow him to see their child?
Yeah.
But it's so more fun to kind of build it. So I give a little credit, being a little
Yeah.
harsh. But
Yeah, it's like,
like that
it's
sort of.
unspoken things. It's a little bit like Drive My Car in a lot of ways,
Yeah.
I would say.
I'd say these two would make a good double
Drive
feature.
My
I know
car.
it's gonna be a long
Over the
night,
top.
but
They're kind of,
That's the thing with these movies, though. There's so many paired double features because it was structured so similarly that you're changing themes, but
Yeah.
like you're
Yeah.
always having your like intro, the true 3 arc structure to like a T. Like it was just so
well,
formulaic.
yeah, that's the
that's why you
thing.
could apply
You
it,
could do this movie with just about any sport.
right? And that's why the '80s turned into Green Light Central because it was like fucking cool. This is what the '80s did. Let's go crazy with the '90s.
If we did it in 2024, would it be pickleball? He's a pickleball player,
So true, yes.
and he's driving maybe still a big rig or like a cyber truck.
esports.
He's going to Ohio.
Yeah, no, it'd be a video game film.
Ooh, Gamer Daddy would be kind
Gamer
of sick.
Uh-oh. Heat it.
Like your
Yuck.
your streaming career has like alienated you from your kid because you don't play the same games and
So
don't
true,
connect
actually.
over like retro or
Edwin.
he'll play Fortnite with them for the first time.
Edwin, what do you think about Over the Top?
The Wonderful Father's Day movie.
I agree, Edwin. It is.
Yeah.
It would be a good Father's Day movie.
I like that.
So true.
The Shining and Over the Top. Just
Yeah, that's a real yeah. What would be the equivalent? Because I was thinking in my head about Hereditary as a Mother's Day movie, but that was more similar to The Shining. What would be the equivalent of Hereditary is to The Shining as blank is to Over the Top? What's the like Mother's Day movie equivalent of this? Maybe this is an unfair question to ask.
It's weird
everybody.
because you're talking about and you're talking about a movie that women would be the front focus on it. And that
Wait, did you say
definitely didn't
Mamma
really
Mia,
happen.
Josh?
I said 80. I said 80 for Brady.
80 for
but
Brady.
I like Mamma Mia.
Wow. I'm gonna say Postcards from the Edge, but I mean obviously older daughter, but I just love that movie.
I can't stop thinking about it now. I want to remake this as a Beyblade movie. I can't get that image out of my head of just like it can be mom or dad, but they're really into Beyblades, and
that'd be incredible. I had a cousin who's like 10, 15 years older than me, and they had kids, and like 10 years ago when the kids were like 12ish or whatever, they I guess Beyblade, the animated series or whatever that went along with it, or maybe it was like Bakugan or something similar to that, it went on Netflix, and they ended up having to like pay a bunch of money to buy Beyblades on eBay because it was like the kids didn't understand that this was like an old cartoon for like a thing where the merchandise doesn't exist anymore. Which is something I think about now when I think about Beyblades, which I do all the time. But yeah, I think we're ready to move on from Over the Top to a little segment. It's Connor's Wicked Games, sponsored by Chris Isaac. Every week, like Jigsaw, I like to play a little game. And this week, I am bringing back my my favorite game I've created so far.
Oh.
I've remixed it with some
Wow.
with new clues and new categories. That's right. It's a second edition of Canon or Canon.
Yeah.
No.
I only heard of this.
I'm gonna read y'all the name of something, and y'all gotta tell me, is it a film from the Canon Group, an episode of the 1970s detective TV show Canon, a single from the indie pop band Cannons, a peoples or region of ancient Canaan, or one of Nick Cannon's many children. And to keep those guesses in line, I've created this behind me. I think you guys can read that, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the those are the 5 categories. 1 point for each correct answer, and I've also omitted articles and last names from these clues. So the, a, and then like the last name from Nick Cannon's kids' names have been omitted. Edwin, are you there? Do you understand the rules?
Edwin, you're on mute. There you go.
What?
I'm going to read you the name of something, and you have to tell me which of these things it is. Is it a episode? Is it a film from the Canon Group? An episode of 1970s detective TV show Canon? A single from the indie pop band Cannons? A peoples of ancient Canaan? Or one of Nick Cannon's kids? You got that?
That's
Right.
great. That's a vault that you have too. That's great.
All right, so I'm starting. Usually I start off easy, but I'm starting off a little hard here, Edwin. What is Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2?
Canon.
Well, they're all canon. Which you mean a film from the Canon Group?
I
Canon
like
Group.
it. Edwin found the loophole.
Yeah, right.
That's my answer from now on too.
Totally.
Everyone's thinking next level.
Yeah.
Marina.
4D chess to the max right there.
Straight up. Okay. Yes. Film from the Canon Group.
Brian,
Yes, film from the Canon Group.
Daniel,
Canon Group.
Scott,
Canon Group.
and Josh. I did that in the wrong order.
Canon Group.
Well, it looks like you guys all. I thought that was a real stumper that I was starting with, but I guess not. Marina, you'll start this one. Girl in the electric coffin.
Oh, I wish that was Nick Cannon's kid, because that's a baller name. But I'm going to say, you say girl in the electric
Coffin.
coffin. Be a really cool movie. I feel like this is a trick. I'm gonna say single from Cannons.
Brian.
I'm gonna say honestly the TV series sounds episodic. That title.
That's my second choice.
Daniel.
What from the list, can I know what the show Canon is about? Like the concept of the television?
It's like
canon?
it's a 1970s detective TV show.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
if you want to change your answer, Marina, you're allowed to.
Okay. I'm gonna change my answer. I'm going to episode of Canon.
Yeah, I like
Daniel?
episode of Canon.
Josh.
I'll do episode of Canon.
Scott.
I'm also thinking episode.
Edwin.
Oh, he's long gone.
Episode of Canon.
Oh, there he is.
Whoa!
Hell yeah.
Surprise.
He's there, plugged in. And the reason I let you change your answer is because nobody was like, "Oh, I know this." You know, everyone was still like,
Yeah, very much
if
so.
someone was like had a firm knowledge, I probably wouldn't let someone change. But
Thank you so
yes,
much.
in fact, that is the girl in the electric coffin, one of the episodes of the TV show Canon. Brian, Zillion Heir. That's 2 words. Zillion and last name Heir, as in heir to the Wayne fortune.
You know, I don't know why, but Nick, I don't know. We're just gonna go Nick Cannon because at that point that's when you start really bringing the names out.
Daniel.
Billionaire. It also sounds like a Disney Channel original movie, though.
Yeah.
I'm gonna copy Brian. I like Nick Cannon child.
Josh.
Nick Cannon's kid.
Scott.
That was a confident answer, by the way.
I'm actually going to say a single from Cannon.
Edwin.
Nick Cannon.
And Marina.
You know, I'm somewhat familiar with the band. I know I don't know if I should give these little tips and tricks away.
That's what I was thinking too. I was like, I don't know anything about this Cannons band. Cannons is the name of the band?
Yeah. I know somebody who knows somebody that dated or whatever. You know, it's some stupid LA stuff. But I would say that I'm going to go with Nick Cannon's kid because that just, to me, doesn't fit the vibe of the band.
Right. That the last two have been
It's the space that's throwing me off. That it's two words.
The space is very strange, but I know you said you also removed last name, so maybe that's a middle name, which would be a little interesting.
Yeah, I can see like Zillion Air Cannon.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations, Scott, because you're the only one that's wrong.
I love that song about Zillion Air.
It's that is in fact Nick Cannon's kid, Zillion Air Cannon.
Yes!
Oh yeah.
That's awesome.
What is? I gotta look up this guy's other kids. Oh, I guess
not now.
After.
I'm just gonna Google it real quick.
I just want to do some research real quick.
From there.
And technically, he has enough kids that I could do. He has enough kids with enough names that I could do this bit a third time, probably with his kids as one of the categories.
Yeah.
Still, Daniel, Phoenicia. PHOENICIA. NICIA. Phoenicia.
Oh. Okay.
I'm gonna go with people of ancient Canaan or Canaan. Just because I can't fathom that spelling. It's either that or it's a song
for
title.
sure.
Josh.
See, I'm like, I don't think you do two Nick Cannon's kids off the bat.
No.
So, otherwise I would vote that, but I'm gonna go Peoples of Ancient Canon too.
Scott.
Yeah, people of ancient Canaan.
Edwin.
What was the answer?
Phoenicia.
Say again.
Phoenicia.
People of ancient canon.
Marina.
You know, it's a beautiful name. I bet it's like a goddess of I don't know, sunken civilization or something. I don't know where this place is, but I'm saying peoples of ancient Canaan.
And Brian.
It felt very much like some spelling bee shit when you brought to us, so I'm gonna say ancient.
Yeah, y'all are all right. I lied earlier when I said I started this one off hard. The first four or the easy ones, and that is in fact Phoenicia, the Phoenicians, or a peoples of ancient Canaan. Josh, Valley of the Damned.
Oh.
I'm gonna go episode of Canon.
Scott.
I'm going to say Cannon film.
Edwin.
What was the answer?
Valley of the Damned. You should pay attention better.
Valley of the Damned. Valley of the Damned. Episode of Canon.
Marina.
I feel like oh man. Now that Edwin said that, I was going to say film from the Canon. Whatever. I'm going with my gut. Film from the Canon group.
Brian?
I'm going to go the episode 5.
Daniel?
This threw me off because I think it's either a song or the title of a Dragon Force album. But I'm gonna go with my first gut thing before Dragon Force is I think TV canon.
TV canon.
No.
Is in fact an episode of the TV show Canon, Valley of the Damned.
I knew it.
What's that? I'm thinking of a DVD cover. I think it's something of the Damned.
Village of the Damned.
Village of the Damned. That's what it was. Yeah, that's what because I was thinking it was definitely on something else, but I knew.
I panicked when Scott guessed film because I forgot that film was even an option.
Yeah. Same.
But as soon as I hadn't heard of a film, I was like, all right. It was really an emotional roller coaster for me.
Scott, you'll start this one.
This is Connor's Wicked Games. Is the reminder.
These are my Wicked Games. Barfly.
Barfly.
That's the thing.
Barfly, Scott.
I'm thinking. I'm gonna say song by Canon.
Yeah.
Edwin.
Film from Canon.
Marina.
Damn, I feel like we haven't heard from the band, so I'm gonna say single from Cannons.
Bri.
But I think it's a movie. I don't know.
I'm gonna go film.
Daniel.
I'm gonna trust. I'm gonna go with the heart of the cards. I'm gonna say movie, though I don't know. When this is over, can you clarify when Canon Films ended? Or does it still exist?
I mean, I'll tell you right now. Like its main like the major periods was like 70s, 80s, 90s.
Okay. Yeah, I'll stick with movie.
George.
I'm gonna go movie as well.
The movies have it as a Mickey Rourke film. Barfly.
Thanks, Edwin.
Isn't it?
I knew it.
Is it the thing? It's like about
Barfly.
If it's the same one, but it's like about the. Is it about the
Why are you looking that up, Edwin?
Name.
Next one up, Apple.
Canon film.
Marina.
Oh my god.
Of course you're playing this song.
That's not Edwin. That's really a movie. Okay.
Of course it is.
Do I believe you? Though?
That's a really weird way of presenting truth.
I don't know because I want to say single. That sounds like a song title.
It kind of is if you think about it.
Okay, I'm saying film from the Canon Group, but man, I feel weak.
Brian.
Condition.
It's Apple, is what you're saying is the title.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go film.
Daniel.
Just to confirm, it's about Charles Bukowski. I've never seen it, but
okay.
Barfly, sorry. Barfly.
Oh, interesting.
Apple, I think is a movie.
Josh.
I think I'm gonna go single.
Scott.
I'll go movie.
The movies have it. That is the Apple. Like I said, I was leaving off articles. One of the.
That's the one. Did we screen that at the club like the first year?
We did, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Next up, Marina. Down on Love.
Oh boy. Oof. It's probably not somebody's name. So I'm gonna go with. Honestly, that sounds like a single. So I'm gonna say single.
Brian.
Oh, knowing the vibe of the band and everything about them, this is a perfect name for their single.
Daniel.
I like single. I'll agree with the group.
Josh.
I have been voting single for the last like 30 seconds, and everyone else is just catching up. I'm going to continue to vote single.
Let's go.
Scott.
I was the original single voter, and I'm gonna hold that ground. I'm gonna vote single.
Let's go.
Edwin.
Name the thing again.
Down on Love.
Episode of Canon.
Well, congrats, Edwin. You're wrong. It is in fact a single from the indie pop band Cannons. The next one is Brian. Hurricane.
I'm gonna say. You know what? I'm gonna go with Nick Cannon. I don't know why. I just feel like that would be a wild one.
That'd be sick.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I would name if I was in that situation, I would absolutely name one of my kids Hurricane.
Daniel.
I like Brian's confidence, but I want to play. I'm trying to figure out you as our game master, and I feel like you're. This is a trap.
I will say I always hand structure these questions. I should
That's
say
what
I never randomize them. I always put them in a very specific structure, and I always look at them.
I believe this to be another song. I think you're trying to goof me.
Connor, I was actually curious if before we get too deep, can I change my answer, or are we like capped? Is it closed?
You can change it now. Sure.
I want to go with that with the song. It's a single. I literally just clicked in my brain last second. Sorry.
Josh.
I'm also gonna say single.
Scott.
Okay, now generally, I think I might have forgotten one of the options. So, it's Canon Films, Canon TV show, Canon, the band.
Yeah.
Canon and Nick Cannon's kid.
Yeah, Ancient Canaan and Nick Cannon's kid.
Okay, I guess I haven't forgotten one. Either way, I'm gonna go single as well.
Edwin.
Single.
And Marina.
It's a single, I think.
It is in fact a single. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah.
I did.
You threw me off with that Nick Cannon category because I want so badly. And Nick Cannon, if you're listening, which I'm sure you are, Next Child.
Why wouldn't he be?
Yeah, exactly. Please, Next Child, Hurricane.
People of ancient Canaan was Hurricane. That's why.
I think I almost did a fake. I forgot to do this bit, but I almost did a bit at the beginning, or when you guys all guessed Texas Chainsaw Massacre was a film. Be like, no, that's one of Nick Cannon's kids. He called
that's when you kind of given up on your kids. You're like, man, I made a mistake.
Texas. Right now. I don't know. This kid's name is Texas Chainsaw Massacre too.
Yeah. That's how terrible we were working with here.
Daniel.
No, I like it better if there's also a Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
I love
that.
Moab.
Wow.
MOAB.
Okay.
Moab.
Oh, somebody's.
You hearing the sirens?
Yeah, I was hearing the sirens, but then I realized maybe that's mine because
no, it's
they happen so often that I couldn't.
Yeah, I thought it might be my place too.
Fucking LA.
We live in LA.
Sounds of the atmosphere. Yeah.
My confidence in the peoples of ancient Canaan is an unfamiliarity with their geography, because I can just think of the Moab in Utah. This one's throwing me for a loop. But is that the bit? Is Connor's little trickery that it sounds like it should be a freaking?
I'm gonna need an answer. I'm gonna start playing. I gotta put this on my soundboard. Hold on. I
want to go with Nick Cannon's kid.
Hell yeah. That's kind of my thought process. I'm like, look, if I have no idea where we're going, it's Nick Cannon's kid.
Josh.
Yeah, if I can't figure it out, it's a child.
I think I'm gonna go peoples of ancient canon. I also way overthink, and I'm just gonna try and go with my gut.
Scott?
I'm going people of ancient canons.
Edwin?
What's the thing again?
Moab, M-O-A-B.
Canon guy. Whatever.
Marina?
What?
I understand what he's saying.
Wow, okay. Fluent in Edwinisms. I will say peoples of ancient canon.
And Brian?
I don't know. I'm gonna stick with that Nick Cannon kid. I mean, like Moab Cannon. That's pretty.
It's
That's
a
pretty
sick
dope,
name.
right?
That is
Moab
awesome.
Cannon. Hey, what's your name? Oh, it's Moab Cannon. It's great.
Congratulations to those who said that it was a peoples of ancient Canaan, because you're right. It is a peoples of ancient
again,
Canaan.
Nick Cannon, please. Moab is up next as well.
I am confused
After
by
Hurricane.
where the people of ancient Canaan existed.
It's like a Middle East or something. It's like a Bible era stuff.
Oh, so it doesn't have anything, it has nothing to do with
It's
like
Bible
a
coded.
Bible.
Moab, Utah.
Yeah.
Whatever.
What I would guess is maybe because Utah's a little religious, maybe they named it after these ancient peoples. That would be my guess.
Yeah.
But
There is the Moab Canyon there, which sounds close to Moab Cannon.
that is true. This is you, Josh. Golden Saigon. Golden Saigon. It's like Saigon, but without the I.
Happy eye.
I'm gonna say film from the Canon group.
Scott.
I'm torn between that and a episode, but I'm gonna guess canon film.
Edwin. Edwin.
We
It's like a
lost
documentary
Edwin.
where
Yeah, there's some strange shapes and silhouettes happening.
Edwin.
is he on the phone?
Aliens
You're
have taken
muted.
over.
Okay, Mobat, Canon guy, fucker.
No, Golden Saigon. Golden Sagan.
Yeah, I guess fucking Canon guy, whatever fuck his fucking name is. I don't fucking care. Fucking
Marina.
names.
I would say film from the Cannon group.
It's
I
not
think.
a Canon movie.
Brian.
Yeah, I like Edwin's confidence as well. Plus, I'm sort of fixated on these child names, and I think that's a Nick Cannon.
Oh yeah, I could see
Yeah,
that.
I think that's like a very like you open a restaurant or you open a child and then name them. That's what I think. Those are the two that you do.
Daniel.
It sounds like it could be a detective plot. It sounds like it could be a mystery, but I
That's a good
also
point.
really just want it to be. I want it to be a Nick Cannon name enough that I will risk the point because it's
Same.
really fun.
That's where I'm at with it now.
It's the misspelling, or maybe not misspelling. Maybe it's intentional.
Yeah.
Why is there no I?
That's what actually got me sold on it. Is when I was like, okay,
Yeah,
no,
that's a
we're
good
doing
point.
a play on something.
Can I change it to Nick Cannon's kid?
Sure.
Okay,
Should
yay!
I change it to the Cannon's kid?
Sure. Go ahead.
It's the anniversary, you know.
It's the
Points for
anniversary.
everyone.
Fuck it.
Right.
You're like you're the Oprah of this game that we're doing.
You're right. It is
Everyone
Nick
gets a
Cannon's
point.
kid, Golden Sagan.
That is-
Hell yeah.
That is crazy. What is he trying to say?
Next up, this one starts with Scott. America 3000.
We're really skipping over. I need some context to that name. Psst, please, down the line. I'm gonna Google it on this other screen. Please don't be
America
alarmed.
3000.
Say canon film.
Edwin.
Canon fucking film. It's Canon fucking film.
I'm so
Marina.
sorry. What was the question again?
I think it's America 3000 is a film from the Cannon group.
Brian.
I also agree with that. I think it's a batshit crazy canon.
Daniel.
Yeah.
America 3000.
I want it to be a Nick Cannon kidding.
I'm with you on that one. I feel like when we got the last one, and I was like, all right, we're asking for too much.
Now
It
I've
would
got
be fun.
inflated ego.
Here's a hint, guys. All the rest of these are Nick Cannon's children's names.
Crazy.
3000. It sounds like a Mad Max ripoff. I'm gonna say film.
Josh.
Film.
And we started with Scott. Yes, that is in fact a film from the Cannon Group. Edwin. Moroccan.
I'm from Cannon.
Marina.
Yeah, I don't I'm gonna say film from the Cannon Group. I don't know. Okay.
Brian.
For the ease of Edwin's answer, I think it's a film.
Daniel.
Moroccan. Could I get the spelling?
Moroccan.
Can you use it in a sentence, please?
How's the Moroccan lounge spelled? I can't. I cannot escape Nick Cannon's grasp on me with this.
All right, you got. This is like It Follows. I just pushed it onto you. You're on fixated with it now.
Well, I don't know the score, so I have like a confidence that maybe I could lose. I think I've already lost a few points.
Everyone's really close. There is between first and last place. There's 2 points difference, so it's all really close right now.
Oh my god.
It's either okay. I think it's a People of Ancient Canaan, and I like Nick Cannon better. I'm sticking with it.
Moroccan Cannon.
Josh.
Moroccan Cannon. Sounds like a.
Yeah.
Sounds mean.
Hurricane Cannon's just hanging with him.
Cannon.
Let's go on the plane.
I'll say Peoples of Ancient Cannon.
Scott.
I'm gonna go Cannon film.
Daniel, you're the only one who got it. It is indeed one of his kids,
actually?
Moroccan Cannon, one of Nick Cannon's children.
Wow.
I am so sorry I gave up on you, Nick Cannon. I apologize.
The faith.
I
Daniel
couldn't
Wow.
believe
Are his-
that's possible.
Is it a single? No, he's famous for like multiple
No,
partners, right?
absolutely, it's not a single mother.
Okay.
What are you
Yeah.
talking about? It's like each one's a different. Each one's a bespoke.
Each one.
He has a bespoke mother for each child. That might not be true, but
When we wrap tonight.
Well, somebody said the best show ever
and you
would be
get
like
a mom,
every one
and
of the
you get
wives.
a mom, and you get a mom.
Oh,
When
that
we
would
wrap
be,
tonight.
Yeah, like every one of the moms in like a podcast format and being like, all right, look, this is the deal.
A spill.
Yeah, like sometimes it'll be like Desperate Housewives. Sometimes it'll be like, look, fuck you, Nick Cannon. Sometimes it'll go all over the place. That's wonderful entertainment. Make it happen. in the world.
Drumline has just really led him into a incredible future.
Marina.
Yeah.
Death Chain. 2 words. Death Chain. Spelled exactly like you think it would be spelled.
Like the only way it could be
Nick
spelled.
Cannon's kid again.
See, that's a cool name.
Yeah, totally.
For sure. I wish. But maybe. I don't know. Maybe this is another trick. But it seems a little intense as a episode name. But could it be? I'm gonna say episode of Canon.
Brian.
Can you say it? Death. How was it again?
Death Chain.
Death Chain. God damn.
Like a chain of death, like one of the things one of the things that Pinhead has. He's got
that is the thing. Like the death chain. Like when you're going into the. See, I'm thinking movie because you're going into that. There's gonna be a guy with a death chain. So that's where I'm sticking.
Movie.
I don't know. Yeah, sticking with film.
Daniel.
Or going with film.
It does. It sounds like in the movie realm, like if like Death Race and stuff are coming out, like just other death related things.
But there's a lot of promise of death in those 2 words.
I like. I'm gonna say it's got like a it's got like a murdery vibe, and I'm gonna go with the detectives from our television program.
Josh.
But not really confident.
Yeah.
Oh, what was that? We didn't pick that up.
Sorry, I'm muttering to myself. I'm gonna say film.
Scott.
I'm gonna go film.
Edwin.
I'm gonna go with film. Films.
My
Films.
confidence is waning.
Yeah.
Well, Marina and Daniel, y'all shouldn't have waning confidence because y'all are the only ones that are right. The death chain is in fact an episode.
Yes.
We've got one more round. When it gets back to you, Marina, that's the last one.
My detective
I just had
instincts.
no idea, like, I guess what this show is, so it's so hard to.
Yeah.
Like, what
I just know
type
there's
of detective
detectives.
show?
I don't know anything about it either. I chose what I know about it and what I chose is what I've told y'all, which is that it's a detective show. So the fact that the first one I chose was Girl in the Electric Coffin, and the fact that now towards the end it's like Death Chain, which sounds a little more ambiguous. That's purposeful.
Yeah.
Like, if we were doing Friends right now, we'd be like, that's the one, but
yeah,
it's a little tough. But Death Chain.
I knew it.
Mood Ring.
It's a fun time.
Brian.
I guess
Mood
they
Ring.
also all sound like old pulp novels too.
That's what, yeah, totally. That's what makes
Yeah.
you think of the Canon film vibe. You said Moon Ring?
Mood Ring.
Mood, okay. Mood. I feel like it's probably. I feel like it might be a song, maybe deeper. I want to
Daniel?
say that. Oh, but then Nick Cannon. God damn it.
Mood Ring Cannon. Yeah, I like. I don't think I've ever listened to Cannons that I can think of, but
I know them well, but not
Down with Love. What was it? Down with Love.
Down on Love,
No.
yeah, and Hurt
Down
Game.
Down on Love. Mood Ring. They're kind of both.
Yeah,
I
that's what I'm thinking.
I like music.
Josh.
I'm gonna go Nick Cannon's Kid.
Oh, yeah. You got it now, Josh.
Scott.
Fuck no,
I'm gonna say single.
Edwin.
Where are you, Edwin?
I'm gonna say Canon Films. There you go.
Marina.
I'm saying single for everything.
The singles have it. It is in fact a single from Cannons.
Yeah.
Daniel. Edom. EDOM.
Edom. I'm gonna go
Like an internet dominatrix.
Oh.
Edom.
Really? Is that the context?
I mean, I don't know. It's EDOM. Like that kind of sound like that would be, like an EDOM,
Yeah.
There's no like a hyphen.
My brain goes immediately to Nick Cannon, but out of just running through the motions of the Game Master, people of ancient Canaan have had the least amount. I'm gonna go with. I'm gonna take a guess at Canaan.
Josh.
The same. People of Canaan.
I'll
Scott?
be fucking mad if it's Nick.
Me too. That was my guess.
Edwin.
Canon Film.
Marina.
It's the peoples of ancient canon.
Bry.
Yeah, definitely people of.
The peoples have it. That is indeed a peoples of ancient Canaan. This one we're starting with Josh, right? Yeah, Josh. Crush.
Is there an exclamation point?
No,
At the
it's
end
just
of
crush.
Okay. And you said so it could be the crush.
It could be
right?
the crush or a crush or and crush or crush canon.
Okay.
Or the sea turtle from Finding Nemo.
That's
Totally.
True.
Or it could just be crush.
right.
The soda.
Yeah.
Mm.
Squirt. My favorite.
I guess I'll go
Sorry.
single.
Josh, Scott.
Yeah, single.
Edwin.
Single, whatever. I don't care. Single.
Marina.
Oh, wow.
That's what somebody says when they really, really do care, though, Edwin.
He's shy. That's all.
Yeah.
Your irony doesn't fool us.
Nope. I'm gonna say single.
Brian.
Yeah, that's a nice moody single.
Daniel.
Peer pressure. I'm gonna say single.
And who did we start with? Josh.
Start with Josh.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. That is a single. That is.
Is it just Crush or is there more?
I think it is just called Crush.
Yeah, I think we're just
Sick.
Scott. Dreamer. So like I do structure these pretty well because you get to Dreamer. Dreamer sounds like it could be literally maybe not a Peoples of Ancient Canaan, but it could be literally any of the others.
Yeah.
I think I know.
Which is why I am going Nick Cannon.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Edwin.
What was the question?
Dreamer.
Cannon film. Jesus Christ.
Marina.
I'm going Nick Cannon's Kid. That's a great name.
Brian.
Yeah, and if it's not, it should be the answer.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm back. I'm back on the. I'm back with you, with you, Nick Cannon.
Daniel.
Name that child.
There's a DVD cover. I can see it, and I think it's War of the Worlds. Who's the girl in War of the Worlds?
Dakota Fanning?
Yeah, Dakota.
And I think it's a horse movie, but I don't know if Cannon's existence could line up for it. So I'm gonna go with I like Nick Cannon. I Want to Live and Die by the Cannon by Nicholas Cannon.
Josh.
Is it plural or single?
It's single.
Single.
Singular. I should say.
Right. Sorry. Yeah.
Not a single.
I'm gonna go Nick Cannon's Kid.
Yeah.
This is, in fact, The Dreamer, a Cannon Group film.
Oh shit!
It's not the horse one, is it?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I don't know anything about it. I just know the name.
I mean, if anything, we've done some wonderful service for Nick Cannon tonight.
Yeah.
So many.
You have a lot of confidence.
We've given him a lot of cool kid names that he could have.
Totally.
Edwin. Legendary Love.
Cannon film.
Marina.
Legendary Love. Film from the Cannon Group.
Brian.
I'm ride or dying right now. This is Nick Cannon. This is a dream he had one night.
Daniel.
That's how all the names come to him.
How many kids does he have?
A bunch, like a dozen.
He's got a bunch. Yeah. When you say a bunch, it's unsure. It's like when you say 20 to 40.
They are cheaper by the amount that he has them.
Exactly.
And how many questions are left?
There's one more after this.
I'm siding with Bry. I want it to be Nick Cannon. At this point, I don't even care. I want it to be.
Yeah, I don't care where I rank in this game. Totally.
Josh.
Nick Cannon.
Scott.
What was the
Legendary Love.
Legendary Love? Nick Cannon.
Oh yeah.
That is in fact the name of one of Nick Cannon's kids, Legendary Love Cannon.
Oh,
Are you?
hell yeah!
Yes.
Are you for real?
I am 100% for real.
That's
I
wonderful.
am in
That's wonderful.
disbelief.
That's why maybe he's thinking of our names and being like, "Look, I got some better shit that I've got lined up, guys.
Like-
Amateurs."
Yeah.
Legendary? That's like
His names all sound like
You get
DDR
down here
songs.
right now.
And
So true, Daniel.
lastly, we're gonna start with you, Marina.
All right.
Torch.
Torch. That's so vague. I don't know. What do you want? See, now I want to be ride or die, but it's too late because it's like the last question. I would love Torch Cannon. That's like a sick
That is
name.
so yeah.
That is kind
Like
of sick.
Torch is like such a
But it's kind of
cool
like too.
kid
It's almost
name.
like too cool. Where like
yeah.
it's pushing it.
You're right.
Honestly, this is where Death Chain would help so much. Like Death Chain Cannon. Hell yeah.
Oh, this is. Oh wow! I'm just gonna go with episode of canon.
Brian.
I like where your head's at, Maria. That's kind of where I was thinking. I'm like,
Thank you so
everything
much.
else is a little too on the nose for the category.
Sticking with that TV.
Daniel.
Yeah, I think it's giving detective.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'll align.
Josh.
Yeah, I agree.
Scott.
Yeah, television show.
Yeah.
And Edwin.
This is a fucking canon film, man. Just go with canon.
Well,
Canon
you're
for life.
fucking wrong, and it doesn't matter anyways. You're in last place. It is a episode of the TV show Canon.
Jesus.
In
I
terms
gotta watch
of
this show.
medals, let me look at this. Edwin with 12 points
Now I
does
must
not earn a
scroll.
medal. Scott with 14 points. Unfortunately, you do not earn a medal tonight. And Marina and Josh at 15 points have tied for bronze. Brian with 16 points is silver, and Daniel with 18 points has gotten the gold.
The Simone Biles of the group.
Yes.
God
The
damn
Olympics champion himself.
Didn't realize this was gonna be the canon world was gonna be my cup of tea.
This is a new thing.
Yeah.
I'm looking up these children.
I'm looking up
I'm
the
telling you, right? This is a conversation related with Rachel. Honestly, just be like, look, I got some names. We're gonna do this.
Yeah.
Great.
Oh, they're like some of them are. The spread is wild.
Oh yeah. Edwin, do you have anything cool to show off, or do you want me to skip over that segment that you do?
I was like, I have to.
Skip me.
Skip you?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, well, I'm excited I got to do another edition of Canon.
Incredible.
And
Beautiful.
I'm glad I was able to bring that back. But does anybody have well, that's the wrong background. Anything else? I'd love end the genocide and a free Palestine. And specifically, I wanted to shout out two superhero things I've been enjoying lately. One is the second season of My Adventures with Superman, which is fucking awesome. If people don't know, My Adventures with Superman, it's like a American-made but like shonen Japanese anime style Superman show. It's really fucking good. The second season introduced Supergirl and had Brainiac as the big bad, as voiced by Michael Emerson, Ben from Lost, who fucking knocks it out of the park. It's really just incredible. Just like if you like Superman and cartoons and stuff, and if you're looking for, if you're sort of like, especially I assume James Gunn Superman is going to be a little more hopeful version of Superman than we've gotten in recent years, but it feels like the almost like the not the pre-course, because that sounds dismissive to it, because it's great on its own terms, but it just feels like that, where it's like, oh, this is such a salve after so many years of getting like shitty, mean Superman, to get this sweet boy Superman voiced by Jack Quaid, everyone's favorite nepo baby.
Seriously.
Oh, he does the voice?
Yeah. And I also watched The Specials, speaking of James Gunn, a movie that he wrote and co-stars in, along with Rob Lowe, Thomas Hayden Church, Jamie Kennedy, his brother, Paget Brewster, Judy Greer, and others. Directed by Craig Mazin, who would later go on to showrun Chernobyl and The Last of Us. It's not like a great movie, but it's like 75 minutes long, and it's just like a fun little funny movie. And you can, like, Scott, I think you said it best. We watched it for movie night. Like, you watch it and you go like, I see 100% how this guy would end up making the Guardians films like 10, 15, 20 years later, both in the broad sense, but in the specific sense in that there's kind of a proto Drax character in it. But yeah, it's always a lot of fun. But anything else anyone else got?
Can I just share? Cannon, the TV show, is described as being about Frank Cannon, a husky ex-cop and culinary enthusiast who solves tough cases as a private investigator.
Hell yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
Also learned through a quick thing that within the span of one calendar year, Nick Cannon had 5 children from 2022 to 2023.
Yeah.
Wow,
Well, see, that's what I'm hoping, bro, from the perspective of me doing a game. If we're gonna do a third Canon episode next year, like you've gotta like not to be crass, but you need to start gushing inside, my dude, because like I need some.
He was clearly focused. He knows what he has to do. Maybe just a couple less TV shows. For
He had his eye on the prize.
Right.
He's like the Eric Roberts of children, and I respect.
I actually do know for real. He has like a crazy, like not crazy, but he has a really big thing about like meditation and the way he wakes up. Like he barely sleeps. He has this whole like it's like some like the way you reset your internal clock shit. Like I was listening to this going,
no one who barely sleeps is ever gonna be able, like if someone who's like, yeah, I slept 2 hours last night, let me tell you how to live your life. I'm gonna be like, no.
Right.
Like you've clearly gone insane from sleep deprivation.
Take it from me and my 24 children. Legendary love, come in here.
If anything, we should all be sleeping more. Like the body. I'm pretty sure, like on a science level, they did like an experiment and people defaulted to like a 25.5 hour cycle of daylight of day, like naturally, when they didn't have any sort of daylight or time to tell them when to go to sleep. And so really we should all be like living we should all be living like 15 to 17 hour days and sleeping 10 to 8 hours.
That's what corporate America wants you to think.
Right. Yeah. But yeah.
And fuck corporate America. Just as a putting things out there.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I've got something.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. It's time for another edition of Scott's Comic Corner.
Oh shit! I forgot what piece of music did I use last time? Oh, here it was. It was this one.
You did it. You were in the same. Like,
yeah. Here we go. It's Scott's Comic Corner.
All right, perfect. All right. So last week, the first issue of Flash Gordon came out.
Oh yeah.
From Mad Cave Comics. It was interesting. I liked it. I'm not terribly familiar with the character. I know him mostly from the movie Ted. I've heard of the character Flash Gordon, but like I don't know the lore. So this seemed like a good way to start out. The next issue comes out in September, so I guess I'll keep my eye out for that. I'm not sure why it's taking so long. Then we've got, it just finished up. It was a 3-issue, not really a tie-in to the movie, but there's a Deadpool and Wolverine series that came out called Deadpool Wolverine.
A lot of times, whenever like a movie is coming out, they'll release tie-ins, but more than that, they'll release a lot of stuff that isn't directly related to it, but is like related to the characters. Yeah.
Which I knew this was going to be. It was all right. I thought it felt rushed. It was a 3-book arc, and I was like, oh, it felt like they needed a 4th.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't really understand the plot of the villains and what was going on.
Who wrote that?
But it was Deadpool and Wolverine hanging out. Huh?
Who wrote that?
Joe Kelly.
Okay. Oh, okay. Old school guy.
Which I was a little, yeah. I'm familiar with his work, so I thought that'd be better. And now we're going to get into the X corner of the universe. As I've been talking about, Marvel, they are starting over with X-Men. The Krakoa age has ended, and so now they are, kind of spread it out. Last time we did this, there was X-Men, which was sort of followed like the classic animated series group of characters. And then the other book was Phoenix, which was just Jean Grey as Phoenix in space. So last week was the first issue of NYX, which takes place in New York. It's sort of, the way I described it was like Girls Meets X-Men. Yeah. And that, like, it seems like it's going to be like a younger generation of X-Men.
I recognize three of those on the cover. Is that looks like it's like Miss Marvel, X-23, Hulkling, and who are the other two?
Yep.
Who are the other two? Is that one of the Stepford Cuckoos? One of Emma Frost's kids?
There's Prodigy.
Okay, yeah.
Yes. Sophie Cuckoo.
Okay, cool. That makes sense.
See, I'm not even as versed as, like, I was not familiar with those two characters. I liked it. Apparently, the way these books are going to work is that, like, each issue is going to mainly focus on one character while we're going to be interacting with the other ones. This one dealt with Miss Marvel, and I think that was a good way to get in. She's a very charming character. I liked it a lot. I wasn't sure if I was going to like this. I'm reading every issue 1 of the new X-Men series and kind of picking and choosing what I'm going to stick with. And I really enjoyed this. This might have been my favorite of the 3 I've read so far.
Nice.
So I definitely recommend this one. And then this week came out X-Force is the team. Deadpool is a guest star. He is not part of it. It's a tie-in for the movie, which he mentions in the book. But the main character is Forge.
Okay.
He's the leader, and then the other group. Let's see.
I know. I know.
They listed in the
Quanon or whatever. Like now that
Forge.
Psylocke has been separated into 2 characters.
Forge, Sage, Pink, Captain Britain, and Asaki.
Oh, okay. So it's actually Elizabeth Braddock. It's not Quanon. That's interesting.
I cannot speak to that.
Sorry. For people who don't.
More of a, like,
yeah. No, you go ahead and finish your thing.
Good. I just say this one, I enjoyed it. It was, it's more international mission of the week type thing. We'll see. It's always hard to gauge on the first issue. But it was a good introduction to the characters. So we'll see. Next week is Uncanny X-Men, and the week after that is X-Force.
Cool.
So they're still coming. Plus, I think Storm is going to join the Avengers.
Oh, nice.
And my final, the issue of note, issue of the week, is TMNT #1, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Hell yeah.
They're starting over, like starting a new series. This is interesting. It's clearly going to be a slow burn. We only meet one of the characters. They're in prison. I bet you could guess which one it is.
Donatello.
Exactly. Yeah. He stormed the Capitol. It was fucked.
That would be a wild take on it.
This is written by Jason Aaron. I like the artwork. I liked the I liked the intro with the villain. He had one scene, but I'm curious to go. I'm good to go. So check it out if you haven't yet. And that has been Scott's Comic Corner. Yeah, well, I will say, yeah, like Jason Aaron writing that was definitely a big, like, made me more interested. I did want to. I'll talk about that for a second. Yeah. What? No, go ahead. No. This is, I'm just holding on. I was just gonna say, like, I was gonna mention. I've been the 2 things I've been catching up on is Jonathan Hickman has rebooted after leaving Krakoa, has rebooted the Ultimate Universe in an interesting way, where the maker, the like evil Reed Richards from the original Ultimate Universe, has like
gone into his look at Edwin collapsed on the maker, the evil Reed Richards has
he what wall is that he broke? It's fourth wall, sixth wall. He just went for an Edwin wall.
But the maker created his own universe where there were like no heroes, you know, like he prevented Peter from getting bitten by the spider, and he like he controls everything. And now in the future, Howard Stark was Iron Man, and there was this big like conflict, and it sort of got outed that the maker was like controlling everything, and now his son, a young Tony Stark Iron Lad, has teamed up with the Reed Richards of this universe, who is this universe's Doctor Doom, because he was created by the evil Reed Richards, and they are like now trying to like recruit a bunch of like heroes to try to create their own version of the Ultimates in this universe as opposed to the Avengers, and they've got 2 years to do so while the maker is trapped in this prison where he's gonna 2 years will pass, but it'll be like he has like thousands of years to plan for their next confrontation, which is it's a very Hickman thing. Like the time distortion. On also from the All Reds and Russell, who are like a very punk comic writers, like in terms of their vibe. I feel like they wrote this Superman Space Age series a while back, and I've been catching up on Batman Dark Age, which is like it's like a very pointed version of these characters where they're like set where Batman is like Bruce, like we see Bruce Wayne like go to Vietnam, like that's a big part of the second issue, you know, and we see him like in a specific time period, and it's like a little bit of a different version of the origin and like the way the characters develop, and that's been pretty cool, and it has just a cool, if people look up All Red comic art, they have a kind of a cool sort of like old school kind of style that I like a lot. That's not sort of the traditionally cinematic realistic look that most comics go for these days. But yeah, I would like to.
Oh my God! Oh, they're gonna fucking get down! Jesus Christ! Get the fuck out of the way!
What's going on?
Shit.
What's happening?
What is happening?
Oh, my cat! My
bonus
cat's
content.
here. Yeah, my cat's here. Oh, okay. Okay. Sorry. Ignore it. The cat and the dog are chasing each other. Ignore Edwin being crazy and can't handle it.
Cooper.
Okay.
Oh shit.
But yeah, I want to say next episode, I'm not sure when if it's gonna be next week or the week after, but we're gonna do another Twin Peaks Club soon. I know we're gonna do a summer horror movie episode soon, so we can talk about Maxine and Longlegs and some of these other horror films that have come out.
Awesome.
I gotta figure that out. I want to thank Brian Robert here for composing our outro. I would love if you could follow us at CinemaCurse666 on TikTok and Instagram. You should share this with your local vigilante. Yeah, thanks, Croc. Yeah, that's
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary.
Yeah, happy anniversary.
Oh my God! Oh, Jesus Christ!
All right, bye bye.
Okay, bye.